4 American Marines were killed in Chattanooga yesterday. Christina brought up earlier the issue of gun control. After the shootings in a black church in Charleston last month, you were one of the few congressmen to offer up gun control legislation. Tell us what you proposed and what chance you think it has of passage, and has that chance been enhanced by what the tragedy that occurred yesterday?
Well, Coach, I've been disappointed, I guess, with so many Americans that tragedy after tragedy gives us the short-term sense that we'll finally be able to make some progress on gun safety measures, and yet we haven't done it. The legislation I offered, it was a different approach to trying to close the gun show loophole. Right now, the law says if you knowingly sell a gun to a convicted felon, someone who is not entitled under the law to have a gun, it's a felony. All our legislation says is if you sell a gun to someone without making a good faith effort to determine whether or not they're a felon, you can be held responsible. You can be held liable. So if I sell a gun to Tom without even asking, and he turns out to be a convicted felon, I could be prosecuted. And all he has to do is go get a background check and show it to me, or show me his gun permit, and he's off the hook. I will have made a good faith effort.
Well, the opponents of that just are concerned that that's a slippery slope for them, that you do that, then somebody will come back the next year and say, we want to do something else. We want to make sure these gun checks, you have to wait 2 months before you gun, or something like that. So just through erosion, just make it much more difficult.
The dilemma
if you had your way, you could just say, no guns in the ownerships, or what would you do? What's the goal?
I'm impressed by the numbers. There are 319 million Americans, whatever, and 300 million guns, and yet only 99.9% of all guns are used responsibly. So what we're trying to get are to the criminals, the bad guys, and the people that have serious mental health problems. Those are the two big issues. And if we can do that, get to that 1/10 of 1%. So that's what the purpose of the legislation is.
Even after Newtown, which a lot of people said if it wasn't going to happen in Congress at that moment, it will never happen. So after that, there was a bit of a transition. Let's focus on the mental health issue. But that effort doesn't seem to be going anywhere right now.
Although I'm working with others on a piece of legislation mirroring what's happened in California and Texas that says that would give family members and law enforcement the ability to petition a judge to put someone on a background check list because of their mental health. I had a friend 15 months ago who was in a short-term depression, but ended up buying a gun and shooting himself. And it was very sad because he'd had a wonderful life those first 56 years. And you say, the friends around him and his wife knew he was depressed. If we'd had this tool to be able to say, please put him on the list for a year. A judge does it. You don't do it willy-nilly. He can always petition to get off. We might be able to save lots and lots of suicides, number one, and even the occasional school shooting.
The president was somewhat criticized after his response from the Charleston shooting, when he gave kind of a despairing comment that, I'm not sure we can do anything about gun control now. And then he came back and said, no, I wasn't despairing. I want to do something. But do you see him now with this freer voice and the style that he's now adopting for his last 18 months in office, that maybe he will do something more aggressively about guns?
Well, I think we've seen that the president will do all that he thinks he can with executive privilege, executive power.
Right.
But I don't think we should despair. I read years ago that all the easy things are already done. We're here to do the hard things, and to be patient and steadfast. And I don't expect my legislation to pass this session, but will give us a chance to argue it and slowly move people in the right direction. And I am very optimistic that one day we will have a safer America, including understanding why other cultures that have so many guns, like Switzerland, have so little crime. So it's not just the presence of guns, it's also the overall culture.